Are you looking to buy your first rental property out of state but nervous because you have no clue what you're doing or stuck because you're afraid to make some huge mistakes? Before we start, hi, my name is Soli, a 25-year-old real estate investor with 36 units out of state, and today we're going to go over 3 huge mistakes that I made as a rookie investor that have cost me over $50,000. We're also going to go over a few simple tips and tricks that you can use to help avoid making the same mistakes. As always, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this, and follow me on Instagram at Lattes Leases. Make sure you stay to the end and you can learn exactly how not to lose $50,000 like I did with one mistake. True story. Starting with mistake number 1, buying in an unfamiliar area. You hear this phrase all the time when you're talking about buying real estate. Location, location, location. And I know it's cheesy, but it's a saying because it's absolutely right. The location of where you buy your properties is a huge factor for your long-term success with properties. So figuring this out can be really challenging, especially if you're just getting started, even more especially if you're thousands and thousands of miles away and you can't even see where your property is. I know because I bought my first rental property. I was in the San Francisco Bay Area and it was located 2,500 miles away in Cincinnati, Ohio. I relied really heavily on my local real estate agents, my contractors, even my local investor friends to verify that the property existed and it was going to be a good location for a rental. The second rental I bought was about a mile away from the first, and then the third was less than a mile away from the second. So I focused on this really small geographic area because I really wanted to get to know the comps, the streets, the property values. Especially in lower cost markets, the areas are going to be very street by street. So I'm talking about new construction on this side, look across the street, turn the block, and you might not want to walk there at night. For me, this was kind of an unfamiliar concept because most of the Bay Area is fairly nice since it's so small, and I didn't realize that things can change literally within one block. So here's where I made the mistake. As I bought more and more properties, I had to just expand my geographic area that I looked at to find more deals. Cincinnati is a really large city. I was primarily buying on the east side of downtown, and the west side of downtown, way different market, but a lot of great markets for rentals. I just was not familiar with it. So my partner and I were trying to find deals. We were cold calling agents with expired listings, and we found this property off market that seemed to be really good. We were really excited about it. And we talked directly to the agent who was listing the property. She was, in hindsight, probably way more concerned about selling the property than advising us as buyers. So we had contractors that walk through it, but we didn't think to engage our realtor because we thought that we could just buy it off market. Wrong. We really did not understand the dynamics of the west side, and we should have engaged a realtor who was really familiar with the area, especially because we wanted to flip this house to an end buyer, and the area was extremely block by block. So from Google Maps, it was really hard to tell from the property next door was just falling apart. The neighbors were loud, all sorts of other trash out there, and the whole block just in general felt pretty unsafe. This was actually the first property that we ended up losing money on, and it was largely because we didn't buy a property in the right location. So this is why it's crucial for you to know the area that you are investing in and have someone from your team, like an investor-friendly agent or a local investor friend, educate you on the area that you're looking to invest in and advise you on whether your intended strategy works in the area. Different strategies work better in different areas. So if you want a midterm rental, it would be a completely different area than if you're looking to buy Section 8 rentals. So here are some simple solutions and tips if you want to avoid this problem. If you have a competitive advantage and only live a couple hours away from where you want to invest, you can easily, I really encourage you to take a day or two and just drive around the area. So I had some really smart advice given to me where you can just print out a good old-fashioned map and bring 2 different highlighter colors and mark where you really like and the streets that you want to stay away from. And by the end of it, you'll have basically a color-coded map, which when you're looking at Zillow, you can then look back at your map and kind of cross-reference areas that you really want to focus on. If you're like me, you're looking to invest out of state, you don't want to fly out there, you can do a few things to avoid investing in the wrong location. Number 1, it all comes back to a really strong team. So find a strong investor-friendly agent who knows the area, who hopefully invests in the area, and they can kind of tell you where to avoid, what areas fit your buy box, what neighborhoods are up and coming, that sort of thing. Number 2 is Google Maps. So a really great way is to look at Street View on Google Maps and kind of virtually walk the streets, go up and down the blocks, and take a look at what kind of cars are parked out there. Are any of the houses boarded up? Is there high grass? Or is there junk in the yard? So just take a look at those things to sense what kind of area you're investing in. Just make sure that you check out what year the Google images are. Sometimes they range and sometimes they're really old in certain areas. It might not be an accurate view of the area that you're investing in. Number 3 is to reach out to local investors in the area. You can meet them through online meetups, through social media, make connections with other people who are investing in the area, and you can ask them where they are investing, what areas they like to avoid. Other things like that can really help with some color commentary, especially if you're not familiar with the areas. So these 3 things will give you a much better idea of where to buy properties, and the more that you analyze deals, the more and more familiar you'll become with different streets and different blocks that you'd like to focus on. So here's my second mistake, and this is actually a mistake I see newbies making, I see more advanced people making. It's a really common mistake, and it's working too much in my business and not building up a team faster so that I can work on my business. Let me explain. Renovations, managing tenants, maintenance requests, being a landlord in general can be difficult to handle, but then try putting 2,500 miles between you and your property, and that has its own set of challenges. So there's lots of moving parts. If you want to scale your business, you cannot do it by yourself. When I bought my first property out of college, I thought I'd be able to handle everything since I'd watched so much HGTV, and I actually worked in commercial real estate at the time, but it turns out that I actually knew nothing about how construction worked, how to build a solid team, how to manage multiple properties at once. I had to learn that all. So I ended up flying out to my first property for a month to get some hands-on experience. I did all sorts of things, tiled the kitchen, backsplash, painted cabinets, a lot of other tasks that took me way too long, and I never got any sleep because I basically slept on the floor in a construction zone for a month. So after the last 12-hour day of painting, I had it, that was it. I realized that all these tasks could be hired out to a contractor who could do it way better than me, while I spent my time back home in California doing things like finding deals, raising money, that sort of thing. I was spending too much time working in my business, physically painting, instead of working on my business, on some of those higher value tasks. Look for solutions to work on your business instead of in your business. I find it to be one of the greatest advantages of investing out of state. You cannot, because you're not physically there, build a business that revolves around you. You're forced to build a team faster. You know, your realtors, your lenders, your contractors, your property managers, because you're so far away, you learn how to outsource a lot faster than most people do. So use that as your advantage. Spend a lot of time researching and vetting your boots on the ground. Do not rely on the first property manager or general contractor that you speak to. Research, 3 to 5 people in the role that you're looking to hire. Interview them, see what their experience is, ask for references, and most importantly, call those references to see what it actually was like to work with this team member. I know it sounds like a lot of work on the front end, but it will all be worth it when you get a good boots on the ground team in place, and it becomes a lot more passive for you. And now, for my biggest mistake, the one that has cost me probably over $50,000 at this point. A lot of money, a lot of headaches, was paying my contractors way too much money up front and then making additional payments not based on completion. So the problem with paying a contractor too much up front is that they could essentially just walk away and there wouldn't be much incentive for them to finish the job. So of course you can, sue them, you can try to get your money back, but it's honestly really expensive and time consuming to do that. And sometimes it's not really worth the money and effort if it's not a large amount of money. The next problem is paying based off of arbitrary dates instead of true completion dates. And this one would seem like common sense, but obviously I didn't know better on this one, so I'm gonna tell you this story. So we once had a contractor who broke up the job into 10 payments in 10 weeks. He was supposed to be done at the end of the 10 weeks, and we were paying a set amount every week regardless of completion. Towards the end of the project, we realized that a lot less had been done than expected. We had already overpaid, he didn't want to finish the job, surprise, surprise, and we had to have another contractor come in to finish it, and it cost us like tens of thousands of dollars. So don't let this happen to you. Here are a few good ways to avoid this and to ensure that your contractors are actually getting the work done at your property and that the work is actually done right. So one is minimize the deposit that you are putting up front, especially for bigger jobs. The actual percentage, whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40%, can vary so much per market and per job size. So it's really helpful to talk to a few different contractors to get a good sense of what's standard, and then also talk to other local investors to see what their experience is. 2 is to create a payment plan up front. This is going to help you avoid so many arguments. You can work with your contractor to create what's called a draw schedule, and then you can define certain points of completion and pay out a percentage of the budget once the completion is confirmed. So I always like to hold out a significant portion until the end as well when the punch list is complete. So this incentivizes contractors to finish the job completely if they want their final payment. Third tip is to have a third party verify progress and quality. So this was a game changer for our business, and the lesson came unfortunately from losing a lot of money on that flip I was talking about. But when you're investing from multiple states away, it can be really difficult to tell what has been completed and kind of the quality of the work, even if you hire a GC. So they'll send you pictures, but the pictures can be really deceiving. So to ensure that my renovations go smoothly, I make sure to create relationships with individuals who can walk the property to verify progress and check the quality. And I don't pay the contractor unless this has taken place. So the third party can be anyone from your real estate agent to a future property manager to even another investor. We pay someone a percentage of the budget in order to actually go check on the property as well. And we found that it's really helpful to have this person do quality control. Quick note, make sure that this person has some level of construction knowledge, because otherwise if it's like your mom or your dad and they don't know what they're looking for, they might think it's complete, but it could be done incorrectly. So those are my big mistakes. Don't let any of these huge mistakes deter you from starting to invest in real estate or stop you from scaling your portfolio. Just learn from them so that you don't have to go through some of the pain yourself. There are going to be challenges along the way, I promise you that, but hopefully these tips and tricks have helped you avoid some of my biggest mistakes and have also given you some confidence that although these things come up, as long as you know how to problem solve, you're going to be okay. So remember that your investment journey, it's truly a journey, as cheesy as that is, and most likely you're going to have to try a couple different strategies, a couple different team members, before finding one that's a good fit for your business. If you implement the lessons you've learned from this video, you'll be well on your way to scaling your portfolio and so much closer to financial freedom. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Don't forget, if you like this video, to hit the like and subscribe button down below and be on the lookout for next wee's video. See you next week.